Public affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcomed. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
The Saratoga City Council meeting, an inside look at the decisions that affect you and our community.
Good evening. Welcome to April 2nd, 2019 City Council meeting. Tonight we are starting with 3 public hearings. The first public hearing is alternate side parking on Persimmon Place, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. So Persimmon Place is a fairly short street that extends from Elm to Ash Avenue. It's fairly narrow, and so answering neighbors' concerns, we've proposed to make the parking on that street alternate side.
Okay, if anybody would like to speak on this, please come forward to the microphone and give us your comments. Okay, it doesn't look like anybody's here for that, so we'll move on to our second public hearing. That's to amend Chapter 225.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Lisa, are we closing?
Yes.
Yes, we are closing that. Thank you. The second public hearing is to amend Chapter 225 of the City Code, time limit parking, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Martin again.
Thank you. So we have a proposal to change time limit parking in a number of the city-owned lots and garages in the downtown area. More specifically, the amendment to the code would change the parking in the lot that's between Henry Street and Putnam Street, known as the Spring Street lot, so that all spaces will become 24-hour spaces. They're currently 48-hour spaces, except for approximately 17 spaces immediately adjacent to Spring Street, which will become 3-hour spaces. In the parking structure that's between Spring Street and Phila Street, known as the Putnam Street lot, there will be 3-hour parking in both the upstairs lot and the downstairs lot. We'll retain the prohibition on overnight parking on the upper deck during the winter months. In the 4-story parking structure and surface lot between Church Street and Division Street, which is known as the new Woodlawn lot, we're going to implement 3-hour parking restrictions in the outdoor lot and on the ground floor, which will include the flat area that empties onto Long Alley, and the ramp up to the first level. The rest of that lot will be 24-hour parking on what's designated as levels 1, 2, and 3. The parking structure that's on Woodlawn, the 2-story parking structure known as the old Woodlawn lot, the 48-hour limit spaces on the first floor are going to be changed to 24-hour limit spaces. And in the parking lot that's between High Rock Avenue and Maple Avenue, known as the High Rock lot, we're going to implement 12-hour parking in the spaces that are currently designated 48-hour parking limits. Those are the changes that we're proposing.
Great, thank you. If anybody would like to speak on this, please come forward. Okay, it doesn't look like we have anybody here for that. Are you keeping this open, sir?
No, we'll be closing this as well.
Okay, we'll be closing that, Lisa. And our third public hearing is to amend Chapter 240 zoning ordinance, small wireless facilities, and I'll ask Vince DeLeonardis to just say a few words on that.
Thank you. This is to amend the zoning ordinance to add a section 6.3.2.1 relating to small cell wireless facilities. It's in response to recent FCC regulations, and it specifically defines small cell wireless facilities, delegates approval authority and review to the DRC, outlines application requirements, design requirements, approval procedures, timelines, location requirements, height, setback, visibility and security, recertification, insurance, indemnification, and removal. So if there are any questions.
Thank you. If anybody would like to comment, please step forward.
Good evening, Mayor, excuse me, Commissioners. Chip Lawrence, I'm a Government Affairs rep for Verizon. I'm also a constituent on the east side in Saratoga. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for the forward-thinking policy here we're putting forth. What we would like to ask is for a delay in voting on this legislation tonight. It only became aware to Verizon and some other industry peers yesterday when we saw the agenda for today. We read through briefly this morning, and we have several questions and concerns with some of the language in there. I could get into detail, but what we'd like to do is ask for a meeting, as soon as anyone is available to discuss. We've got some model legislation that we've used in other municipalities throughout New York after the FCC order came into place. That has been well received by many municipalities, either to adopt that or to use that specifically to tailor to their community's needs and concerns. We agree, common sense proposal is needed that balances, the proliferation of growth in, wireless, especially data, while also balancing, homeowners like myself and businesses. But we just ask if we could table this for a minute. There are some items in the language that really speak to macro towers, not specific to the small cells on top of telephone poles. And there are some issues, I think, that the unintended consequences of what the technology does do, 12-hour battery backup, for example, that's more specific to a macro tower. These small cells don't have, you wouldn't want a generator on the base of a pole in a neighborhood. No small cells are designed to require battery backup. That's one example, undergrounding. But we can get into detail if the council be so inclined to delay and have some dialogue. I could bring in Verizon as soon as next week. I could also try and set up some other industry partners if you'd be inclined.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we will also be closing this as we have this on our agenda this evening. So if there's no other comments, we're going to move into, we don't have any presentations. There's no executive session, so roll call, please.
Commissioner Frank?
Present.
Commissioner Mattingly?
Present.
Commissioner Brockman?
Here.
Commissioner Martin?
Present.
Mayor Kelly?
Present.
Supervisor Dees?
Here.
Supervisor Benson?
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is the public comment period. I ask that you try to keep your comments brief, up to 2 minutes. There will be a bell to signify the end of your time. Public comment period will be for 15 minutes. Please be respectful to the speakers. While you're addressing the council, please address the council as a whole. Anyone who wishes to address the council may do so at this time. Please state your name and address and provide your comments.
Jennifer Leidig, Saratoga Springs. I'm here talking about the Morgan Street property that the hospital would like to urban sprawl over, and that the City Council has on the agenda to start the process of going to rezone the residential area to part of the hospital PUD. Our attorney that we hired requested that you set this part aside, this parcel, and not lump it in. He did not get a response the night of the workshop. He came back the next day, he called the next day, spoke to Trish from the city attorney's office, and she wasn't sure what you guys were gonna do. We feel dismissed. I'm hoping you're gonna set it aside. There's been enough public interest to justify that. So I'm here to underscore that request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Dave Evans. We live in Birch Run, and we want to echo Jennifer's comments. We are 100% against the zoning change. And just a couple of things from the propaganda piece that was sent out by Angelo. In here he says, this has been a long-term citywide process with open public debate and city council deliberation over the past 4 years. We purchased our home 4 years ago, and we're not really familiar with any public debate. And so we're looking for some public debate. I guess the zoning issues aside, what concerns me is also in this letter, the modified plan based upon public comments is a 75,000 square foot building, expandable by 13,000 square feet, for a total of 88,000 square feet with 300 parking spaces. Our deck is 20 feet from this property. And so what I'm wondering is if any of you looked in your backyard, and it was residential right now, and all of a sudden there was approval for an 80,000 square foot building, 90,000 square foot building with 300 parking spots, how would that impact you? And so I guess I implore you to consider the impact on the community, as this is unheard of, really. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Ina Harney, and I live on Seward Street, and I've lived there now for close to 35 years. And the hospital has sprawled and turned that whole neighborhood into a giant parking lot with excessive light and excessive traffic going through it right now during the day. I can't imagine 300 cars coming in and out of the that new building's parking lot. And I was at all the last meetings, and we've already discussed the fact that 300 cars only would be there at one time. They would be on a constant rotating basis, moving at least another 50 or 60 cars every hour in and out of my driveway, which I can barely get out of now. Before, they said they wanted to be close to the hospital, and I said the whole town was very small and you were never very far away. There's going to be a big open building on Broadway soon when the investment company moves down to Manans. It's got a huge parking lot behind it. It's on a bus route. There's plenty of dining and everything else. They could easily move in there. There are 100 doctors and everyone else. We know that the doctors have moved into the surgical center. 2 of my doctors have just moved into there. We know they've moved down to Malta, to the big building there. So this whole charade of wanting to move in so they're all close together and close to the hospital is just a land grab, and that's what this is all about. I ask that you don't rezone a business and you keep it residential. Thank you.
My name is Alice Smith. I live on 8 Woodland Court in Saratoga Springs, and I was here when the whole issue was talked about a couple of years ago. I would like to emphasize, before getting into the whole issue of the hospital expansion, I think we should go back to the comprehensive plan and separate that parcel and look at it carefully, separate from all the other parcels that were looked at in the comprehensive plan. Originally, when it was looked at, the impact of it was not described. They talked about maybe in the future putting doctor's offices there. The picture everybody got was a few houses here and there with 5 or 6 cars parked in front of them like there are on Myrtle right now. Not a massive office building with 300 car parking lot. I think everything should be looked at, and there is the option up on the hill, or I should say the property across Myrtle Street from the hospital. I know they need to have it close to the hospital. They want it close to the hospital for a variety of reasons, and that is they're looking at it as number 2 option. I think it should be number 1 option. And they should really review, starting from the beginning, the comprehensive plan before we even get into hospital expansion and rezoning and looking at all the numbers and the street lightings and the impact of the building and widening the street and everything else. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening, folks. Timothy Holmes, Collins Terrace in Saratoga Springs. First, I'd like to thank you all again for all of your hard work here, and you do so much for the city, and it becomes substantial when issues come up that seem intractable. On the hospital issue question, I want to say, too, that I think I speak for other residents in saying that we do love our hospital, and we want to see it prosper, and we'd like to participate in its growth and in the design of that growth. So conversations are going on among residents and Birch Run and neighboring streets with the project representatives and some of the leadership in the hospital itself. So I think there's hope for daylight. I won't repeat what anyone said here. I sent you a short note with an outline of our understanding of the situation, which is that you're moving this on to the planning boards of the city and the county. And so that's where our focus should go next. And if we have conversations to bring, then that's where they belong now, I'm sure. So I would say that since this is clearly zoning for a specific use in a specific business, as it were, that it would be highly useful to have a picture of the zone 5 or 10 years from now. I know that some concepts are available, but that's the sort of conversation we'd like to participate in, including with the planning boards. So I thank you again and look forward to moving ahead for a resolution. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then we will close the public comment period, and we'll move on to our consent agenda. Are there any edits or comments to the consent agenda as published? Then I move for the City Council to approve the consent agenda as described in this agenda. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? This matter passes. On to the Mayor's Department. My first item is an announcement, Solar for All sign-up event. The city is partnering with the Saratoga Springs Housing Authority to lead the local effort of the state's Solar for All program. This program encourages income-eligible residents to apply to receive a no-cost community solar subscription and help lower their energy costs. A sign-up event will be held April 23rd, 2019, from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Recreation Center right here at 15 Vanderbilt Avenue, where residents can learn more about Solar for All from NYSERDA Clean Energy Advisors, as well as sign up on the spot. Low-income residents interested in attending the sign-up event will need to bring some documentation. Please check the forms attached to this agenda or visit our city website. My second item is Saratoga Springs Arts Commission. The Saratoga Springs Arts Commission has several board members with terms expiring at the end of this month. Each one is a mayoral appointment with one-year term running from 5/1/2019 through 4/30/2020. Tonight I'm announcing the reappointment of Ian Berry, Deborah Cohen-Teager, Belinda Cohen, Peter Kojaninas, Joel Reed, Dee Sarno. I would like to thank them all for the past service as well as the continued service. This commission is important to the city of Saratoga Springs, and your public service is much appreciated. The next item on my agenda is a proclamation, Federal Fair Housing Month. April is Federal Fair Housing Month, which the city marks with an annual proclamation. This is attached to the agenda, and I will read it into the record. Whereas April marks the 51st anniversary of the passage of the Fair Housing Act of 1968, which sought to eliminate discrimination in housing opportunities and to further housing choices for all Americans. Whereas federal act ensures housing opportunities regardless of race, color, national origin, religion, sex, or familiar status or disability. Whereas New York state law covers all the same characteristics but also protects based on marital status, sexual orientation, age, and military status. Whereas the Violence Against Women's Reauthorization Act of 2013 ensures housing protection for victims of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking. Whereas the ongoing struggle for dignity and housing opportunity for all is not the exclusive province of the federal government. Whereas vigorous local efforts to combat discrimination can be effective, if not more so than federal efforts. Whereas illegal barriers to equal opportunity housing diminish the rights of all. Now therefore be it resolved that in pursuit of the shared goal and responsibility of providing equal housing opportunities for all men and women, I, Meg Kelly, Mayor of the City of Saratoga Springs, New York, does hereby join the national celebration by proclaiming April 2019 as Fair Housing Month. My next item is discussion and vote, Community Development Block Grant City Contract Template with regulatory updates. The Community Development Block Program Block Grant City Contract Templates incorporates a contractual language provided at the March 19th City Council meeting, which is required per New York State Department of Transportation Standard Title VI Non-Discrimination Assurances. I move that the City Council approve this Community Development Block Grant City Contract Template with regulatory updates as included with this agenda. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The matter passes. My next item is discussion and vote revocable license for the use of City of Saratoga Springs fields. The field user agreement also incorporates contractual language approved at the March 19th City Council meeting, which is required by New York State Department of Transportation Standard Title VI Non-Discrimination Assurances. I move that the City Council approve revocable license for the use of City of Saratoga Springs Field as included with this agenda. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstentions? The matter passes. My next item is discussion and vote authorization to submit grant application to AARP Community Challenge. The city's Planning and Economic Development Department proposes to submit an application for $8,000 grant to AARP Community Challenge Grant Program for the Henry Street Pilot Project. There is no match required. The Henry Street Pilot Project consists of a 2-week demonstration project in downtown Saratoga Springs to showcase and evaluate the merits of impacts of installing contraflow cycle track and converting two-way street to a one-way traffic on Henry Street. The total project is estimated at $18,300. The city recently received $4,814 in funding from the CDTC Capital Coexist mini grant. I move that the City Council authorize the Mayor's Department to submit the grant application to AARP Community Challenge as described with this agenda. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes. Number 7 is discussion and vote request City and County Planning Board advisory opinions for zoning map amendments regarding compliance with comprehensive plan. The draft Unified Development Zoning Map was presented to the public at the special City Council meeting on March 12, 2019, is moving through a process. Part of this is to obtain City and County Planning Board advisory opinions. Advisory opinions are sought regularly as required. They are advisory only. They are not final or binding. I move that the City Council request city and county planning board advisory opinions for the zoning map amendments regarding compliance with the comprehensive plan. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So does this come back to the city council? I just want to know
Yeah, we'll get it
because
back.
I know we do a lot of these just for like certain units. This is the whole city itself, from what the people from Chicago, wherever it was, did the presentation. So it goes through the process of going to the city and the county, and then it comes back to, does the city council make the final decision on this, or what's the, or is it once these guys make a decision, it's over? I'm just trying to find out the process.
So Camiros presented 18 zoning map changes based on their review and determination, in their opinion, that it's compliant with the comprehensive plan. That then gets referred to the city planning board and the county planning board to render that same determination that it's consistent and compliant with the comprehensive plan. That would then come back to the city council, who would review those advisory opinions, make a determination on moving forward, hold public hearings, and ultimately vote on those changes.
So we would have, the city council would have a final vote on this. Even though we've already voted on the comprehensive plan, this is a separate issue for the updating the maps?
That's exactly right. The comprehensive plan and the zoning ordinance are two different things. The comprehensive plan has previously been passed, including the comprehensive plan map. This is now to update our zoning ordinance and the zoning ordinance map specifically to be in compliance with the comprehensive plan.
Okay, I don't have any, I don't think I've ever voted against sending something to the county or the city. Even when things have come back, we've voted sometimes even against their advisory opinions.
Yes.
But most of the time we go with their advisory opinions. My issue here is that one parcel. I don't have an opinion one way or another. I had to recuse myself because of clients, and now also I own property on Myrtle Street, so I feel very uncomfortable relating to that one area by the hospital, personally. And this is lumped in with that. However, this is the macro. This is the aggregate of everything together.
It is. In fact, it's similar to the comprehensive plan.
Right, it's just a map of what we voted on with the comprehensive plan. I'll vote in the affirmative tonight, but when this comes back, there's not an ability to carve this property out, or is that something we decide later on, or do we have to decide that before we send it to these boards?
Yeah, that's something that council can do. They can do that after the advisory opinions come back. They can do that now. You're not required to do that. Camiros has included all 18 of those proposals together. So the item on the table is to send all 18 of those for review and an advisory opinion. It's nothing more than that.
Okay. So we still have that ability, whether we do it or not, that's up to the city council, obviously, but we still have the ability to potentially carve that or other properties out for a separate vote. This does not preclude us tonight what we're doing from doing that down the road.
When you mean to vote to actually amend the ordinance and the zoning map, or the vote to send it to the county and city planning board for advisory opinion?
What I'm saying is and I think you explained it, but I just want to make sure I understand it properly. If we vote in the affirmative for this evening, and the city and the county are fine with everything, comes back to us for final vote, do we still have the ability to carve out one or more parcels?
Yes, you do.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments?
Yes, Mayor. I know that a number of the letter that we all received from the attorney for the neighborhood group, and a number of the neighbors have talked about carving out the specific issue concerning the hospital, the property that's adjacent to the hospital. It's been my experience in reviewing the opinions that come back, certainly from our city planning board, that they're usually very detailed, and that they usually actually, if there's multiple pieces to it, they will address each piece separately, rather than just give one blanket overall opinion. Usually that's the way that I've seen it, those opinions come back. And so I guess I would ask the city planning board to use the normal diligence that it normally uses, and to address these, each of these 18 items, not just give us a blanket response.
Did you say you received an email from an attorney? Is that how you started that conversation?
And I thought they had talked about no, I did not
Okay,
receive.
okay,
No,
okay.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry,
okay.
and you are correct. No, I received an email from Mr. Holmes,
Okay.
who referred to a discussion, I think, with his attorney.
I just didn't want to make.
Yeah, and I'm glad you corrected that, thank you. Yeah, no, I'd received an email from Mr. Holmes.
Okay, great, thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, I think the fair, well, to follow the process, I think it's, the prudent thing to do right now is to send it to both the county and the city planning board for their advisory opinion. Like we've done in the past, we've done it, numerous times in the past. And obviously, they have more expertise. Some of the issues, some of the complaints here tonight, I think could be addressed with the planning board. They're legitimate issues. I don't disagree with, the 20-foot issue. That's obviously, I certainly wouldn't want that in my backyard. But again, I think we have to do due diligence, at least myself. I feel that, I need to get as much information to make a good decision on the final vote. Obviously, this is going to be a tough one, and I'm not ready to jump into it, immediately unless I have enough information and unless the public has. I think the most important part is the public input in this one, because yes, it does impact a lot of people up there. It is a big building, and if there's a way they could somewhat mitigate the size of the building or make some changes there. I don't know if that's the case, because again, I don't have that much information, but I think right now, like I said, the prudent thing to do right now is to send it both to the planning board and the county planning board for their advisory opinion, and then I think we can, based on the information we get from them, I can make a better decision on what I need to do as far as my vote.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
this is part of the process. I think generally speaking, anytime we want to maybe update any kind of zone, we always send the, what we're reviewing off to the county and city planning boards. There will be agendas that come out for both the county and city planning boards with an opportunity for people to come and speak to both the county and city planning boards when these things are on the agenda. It's a step, an important step in the process. They are not just reviewing that one issue. There will be, is there 18 items that were outlined at the March 12th Camaros special city council meeting. So the county and city planning board will be coming back with advisory opinions for that in its entirety. The gentleman who said he bought his house 4 years ago, this was before the city council 4 years ago or so. But this was as a PUD. The hospital had an application before the city council. A PUD gives a city council a lot of legislative power over how the hospital would be able to construct their plan. That whole process fell apart due to 2 recusals of the city council, leaving only 3 people available to weigh in on this. The vote required a supermajority. So council never got to weigh in or speak, actually, on this expansion, the hospital expansion. This is not a PUD. This is not the same application. This happens to fall under an entire process that took place with the comprehensive plan that started back in 2013. This is an issue, these other 18 pieces that are outlined in the comp plan and the map, that has been outstanding since 2015.
I just have one more question then. If this goes through, comes back, we vote on it, would the hospital need a PUD still?
No.
Okay.
No.
And the reason the hospital came in for a PUD was because we hadn't done this yet, correct? Is that the case? I just want to make sure I understand that right, too. Just from a recusal
At the time that the hospital previously made an application, we had not updated the zoning ordinance as council is looking to do now.
Right.
So the PUD was an application they made to expand what was already there, that houses the hospital itself right now, to expand that PUD.
It's another avenue.
But I understand that, but if this goes through and then the council votes for the comprehensive plan for all the units, then there would be no need for a PUD anymore on this property. Because
that's correct.
we've accepted the map, correct?
If the zoning map
make
changes
sure I understand it.
in a manner that's consistent with the comprehensive plan, then a PUD would not be required. Again, you're not voting on right now. The planning board at both the city and the county is not reviewing any particular project, just a change in the zoning map. But the planning board, at such time that there will be an application, will review it at that point.
So the only thing a PUD would come up in the future after this is if it's something other than what's in the new map, or not for just this property, but for any property.
Yeah,
that's the only
that's a possibility.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes. My next item is discussion and vote seeker evaluation for Chapter 240, new section 6.3.2.1, entitled Small Wireless Facilities. And I'll turn it over to Vince DeLeonardis.
Thank you. And just to address the gentleman from Verizon, to reiterate, because I think I mentioned this at the public hearing when it was originally set, we did get guidance from NICOM and review model templates informing this ordinance. We also consulted with other municipalities and counsel for other municipalities in putting this together. The FCC is allowing municipalities to impose regulations relating to the siting and aesthetics of these facilities, but they've also imposed very strict timelines in which municipalities can do so. So a delay, I worry, would actually result potentially in a missed opportunity to implement regulations. So I would encourage council not to delay this vote, but instead to move forward. With that being said, that would not preclude members of council from meeting with individuals from Verizon to potentially amend a future ordinance that gets implemented. So tonight we have the seeker. This is a type 1, so we have to go through the full environmental assessment form. Then subsequent to that will be the discussion and vote. Part 1 of the seeker analysis identifies the proposed action, the City Council as the sponsor of the action, the involved agencies, including the city and county planning boards, both of which did provide a favorable opinion. The council doesn't have to vote on part 1, but they just want to get their acknowledgement that they've reviewed it. It's been uploaded with the agenda and that the information there is correct, and we'll go right into the part 2, which I will, for the benefit of the mayor and council, I'll read the questions and the proposed answers. This is the long form, but we'll get through it quick. On part 2 of the full environmental assessment form, question 1, this relates to the identification of potential project impacts. And question 1, impact on land. The proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface of the proposed site. The proposed answer to that is no. Again, this is an ordinance, not a specific project relating to a facility. Question number 2, impact on geological features. The proposed action may result in the modification of, destruction of, or inhibit access to any unique or unusual landforms on the site. The proposed answer for that is no. Question 3, impacts on surface water. The proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water bodies, example streams, rivers, ponds, or lakes. The proposed answer to that is no. Question number 4, impact on groundwater. The proposed action may result in new or additional use of groundwater or may have the potential to introduce contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer. The proposed answer to that is no. Number 5, impact on flooding. The proposed action may result in development on lands subject to flooding. The proposed answer to that is no. Number 6, impacts on air. The proposed action may include a state-regulated air emission source. The proposed answer to that is no. Number 7, impact on plants and animals. The proposed action may result in a loss of flora or fauna. The proposed answer to that is no. Number 8, impact on agricultural resources. The proposed action may impact agricultural resources. The proposed answer to that is no. Number 9, impact on aesthetic resources. The land use of the proposed action are obviously different from or are in sharp contrast to current land use patterns between the proposed project and a scenic or aesthetic resource. The proposed answer to that is no. Number 10, impact on historic and archaeological resources. The proposed action may occur in or adjacent to a historic or archaeological resource. The proposed answer to that is no. Number 11, impact on open space and recreation. The proposed action may result in a loss of recreational opportunities or a reduction of an open space resource as designated in any adopted municipal open space plan. The proposed answer to that is no. Number 12, impact on critical environmental areas. The proposed action may be located within or adjacent to a critical environmental area. The proposed answer to that is no. Number 13, impact on transportation. The proposed action may result in a change to existing transportation systems. The proposed answer to that is no. Number 14, impact on energy. The proposed action may cause an increase in the use of any form of energy. The proposed answer to that is no. Number 15, impact on noise, odor, and light. The proposed action may result in an increase in noise, odors, or outdoor lighting. The proposed answer to that is no. Number 16, impact on human health. The proposed action may have an impact on human health from exposure to or existing sources of contaminants. The proposed answer to that is no. Number 17, consistency with community plans. And when Brad Burge usually does these, he always reminds that this is the instance here in 18, which will come up where it's a double negative. But the proposed action is not consistent with the adopted land use plan. The proposed answer to that is no. Number 18, consistency with community character. The proposed project is inconsistent with the existing community character, and the proposed answer to that is no. So you've all had copies of these made available to you. I know you've reviewed them, but those are the proposed answers to those 18 separate questions. And if there is a consensus on those proposed answers, then we will go to part 3, and I'll turn that to the mayor.
Yep. Upon review of the information recorded on this EAF as noted, and considering both the magnitude and the importance of each identified potential impact, it is the conclusion of the City Council as lead agency that A, this project will result in no significant adverse impacts on the environment, and therefore an environmental impact statement not be needed, not be prepared. Accordingly, this is a negative declaration is issued.
And you put that in the form of a motion.
And I put that in the form of a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes. Thank you, Vince. Moving on to my next item is discussion and vote to amend Chapter 240 to add a new section to 6.3.2.1 entitled Small Wireless Facilities. I move that the City Council approve the amendment to Chapter 240 to add a new section 6.3.2.1 entitled Small Wireless Facilities as included with this agenda. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Isn't there a clock ticking on this? I remember hearing about this needing legislation back in September of 2018, so it's not like, but we are at the end of this ticking clock with regards to the FCC, or it will leave us in a position where we have no ability to oversee the deployment of small cells in the city.
So the FCC, and Commissioner, you did note that back in September this was coming up on the table. In October, they ultimately passed this declaration in order. It did not become effective until January 14th, I believe, of this year. The order gives you 180 days. Some of the ambiguity there is 80 days from what? It does not say 80 days from the effective date, which would be the January date. It said 180 days from the date of publication. The concern is that goes back to the October. That would run in the middle of this month. So to be safe and sure, we want to get this done now. Again, to the points made earlier by the gentleman from Verizon, nothing would preclude us from, after we implement it, taking a look at it, making any amendments as necessary. We do expect that in the UDO process, with the assistance and guidance of Camiros, we will take a deeper look at it and make any amendments at that time.
The guidance for the legislation that we're passing today, did that come from NICOM?
Yes, NICOM and others. I did
others,
reach
okay.
out to and consult with a number of other municipalities.
Any other comments?
Yeah, well, I'd be willing to meet with you on that if that's something you might want to discuss so I can get a better understanding myself. Again, I'm going to support this, but I would be willing to meet with you. So if you want to give me a call, give the office a call and set something up, we can at least discuss. Because if in the future we can make some amendments, and maybe some amendments are needed,
Sure.
I don't know. But I'd certainly like to discuss it with you.
I would be happy to be part of that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I look at this
Myself
almost,
as well.
yeah, I look at this almost as a placeholder type legislation, so we,
Right.
so we meet
Yeah.
the requirements, and
Yeah.
then we can always amend as we go.
Yeah.
Correct. Anything else? You bet. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes. This concludes my agenda.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pennell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pennell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable home-like setting where everyone is welcome. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pennell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
On to accounts.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sure the reason everybody's here tonight is for my award of bids for asbestos abatement to the Flower Shop to Clean Air Environmental Services, Inc. Upon the recommendation of the Department of Public Works, I move to award the bid for asbestos abatement Flower Shop to Clean Air Environmental Services, Inc., the lowest qualified bidder for an amount not to exceed $10,450. That's a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Thank you, Mayor. That concludes my agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner. On to finance.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item on my agenda is a discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign a memorandum agreement with Habitat for Humanity. This item is being removed from my agenda, but prior to removing it, I want to explain what this is about because I will be bringing it back subsequently at a future meeting. So we had hoped to have a finalized agreement in time for tonight's meeting, but we haven't heard back from Habitat's legal counsel. It should be stated that Habitat's legal counsel has asked us to put this on the agenda. So a little background for when I bring it back. In May of 2014, the city conveyed title on a single parcel on Cherry Street, which we had acquired through the NREM process, and we conveyed this to Habitat for Humanity for purposes of creating affordable housing units consistent with the mission and purpose of the organization. Habitat ultimately subdivided this parcel into 2 housing units. The initial agreement required that Habitat transfer title of the housing units to an eligible homeowner within a 3-year time period, and we extended that term earlier this year until May of 2020. This is something that I had brought a few council meetings ago. You may also recall that in addition to setting aside the Cherry Street parcel, we set aside an additional parcel on Division Street. Everything is okay with that. That was a single parcel that was a home was built on that parcel with Habitat for Humanity, and I believe title has been conveyed to the resident homeowner of that parcel. But Habitat has yet to transfer title on either property on Cherry Street. The closing is allegedly underway for one of the units. As part of that closing process, the title insurance company raised a concern regarding the title transfer language in the city's agreement, as it had not been updated subsequent to the parcel being subdivided. So until we can get the legal language set properly with Habitat's legal counsel and our legal counsel, I will be pulling that item, but hopefully we'll be having a dialogue with Habitat and bring forward the agreement at the next city council meeting so that they can transfer that title to the homeowner.
Great.
Thank you. Item number 2 is a discussion and vote authorization for mayor to sign a memorandum of agreement regarding health care benefits with the PBA. So on February 27th, the City Council unanimously approved an MOA and an updated health care renewal form related to changing the city's benefit pricing model, which saved over $300,000 in the 2019 budget. At that time, the city had the formal signature of 4 of the city's 7 bargaining units. The PBA was supportive of the change but was unable to sign the MOA in time for that February meeting due to scheduling conflicts. The agreement attached with the agenda tonight is their approval of the February MOA, as well as their acceptance of the option to extend their current labor agreement by 1 year. The other unions that signed the initial MOA, including the fire chiefs, the police lieutenants, and CSEA, are all still deciding on the 1-year option. Should any other bargaining units accept the option to extend, there will be additional MOAs brought before the City Council. I would like to thank the PBA for their support. I see we have a representative here. Travis, I don't know if you want to speak or if that's the reason you were here. You feel free, but I do want to thank you for your support and for your vote today. Thank you. So with that, I request your approval for the mayor to sign the memorandum of agreement regarding health care benefits with the PBA as previously distributed with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I just want to ask one thing. You said CSEA. Is it CSEA City Hall?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make that note. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Thank you. Item number 3 is an announcement, Saratoga Sustainability Fair at Skidmore College. This sustainability fair is taking place on April 6th, this Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. They are partnering, Skidmore is partnering with Sustainable Saratoga to host this fair, and the city will have a table there. I had originally anticipated being at this fair with Tina Carton, just to be able to present and outline all of the sustainability work that the city does on behalf of our community. I will unfortunately be out of town. I had hoped that the Deputy Commissioner, Mike Sharp, might be able to be there. That's still up in the air, but I am hoping to have a representative of the city, of the Finance Department, sitting with Tina to go over things like the Spa Solar Park, the PACE New York financing that we've put in place, which allows nonprofits and small businesses to take advantage of low interest rate capitalized financing for renewable projects. Talk a little bit about the Climate Smart Task Force, EV charging stations, more, and all of the things that we do in the city for sustainability. And that's it, but just wanted to make sure we gave a plug for that, since the city will be having a table at that fair.
I might be able to send myself or one of my employees.
That would be
other
great.
than
I
Tina,
think
so-
I think we should be there representing all the good work that we
So
do.
we'll get somebody to go.
Okay, great.
Place, yep.
Thank you. Item number 4 is a discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign contract with General Code for Laserfiche upgrade. As part of the city's effort to digitize paper files and processes, the system we will be relying on for document retention is Laserfiche, and that is a product that we use today. We use that for our planning board, zoning board meetings, and we also rely on it pretty heavily internally. The upgrade will remove the 25 user limit on the number of authorized web users that can be on online at any one time, which will open the system's usefulness for city employees and also the land use boards, which have started moving toward a more digital process thanks to the combined efforts of the mayor's office, IT staff, and accounts personnel. Nancy Wagner, she's our records manager. One-time funding for the $30,350 license upgrade will be through the 2019 capital budget. That's kind of being rolled into the whole capitalized program to digitize all our records at City Hall, including the Land Use Board records. I request your approval for the mayor to sign the contract with General Code for Laserfiche upgrade as previously distributed with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Thank you. Item number 5, discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign pilot agreement renewal with Saratoga Area Limited Partnership regarding 9 Kirby Road. This renewal is of an original agreement signed June 17th, 2003 for a 32-unit senior housing project situated at 9 Kirby Road. As part of this 15-year renewal, the pilot payments are increasing from $450 per unit to a range of $625 to $725 per unit over the life of the agreement. I would note that there is a correction to the entity name subsequent to the agenda posting, and this renewal will be with Saratoga BDC Limited Partnership. My deputy sent an email out earlier today, and we can provide copies of the updated agreement for anyone interested. There are no other changes from what was originally uploaded with the agenda other than the entity name. And at this time, I'm going to ask the city attorney to speak about the agreement.
So in 2000 and in 2003, the city council approved 2 pilot agreements for 2 identical 32-unit structures that provided affordable housing for the elderly. The buildings were built 3 years apart, and that's why the pilot agreements are staggered 3 years apart. They were for 15 years, as the commissioner indicated. They were for $450 per unit, or $14,400 per year. We updated the one pilot that expired earlier 3 years ago, so now we're doing the other one. And the numbers are, as the commissioner indicated, consistent. It's for another 15-year period, broken down into 5-year intervals, $625 for the first 5 years, $675 for the next 5 years, and then $725 for the last 5 years. And Commissioner Frank, I just want to indicate too, we did consult with Tony Papalizio and Christine Gilmet Brown as well. So that's what you have before you.
Thank you. I request your approval for the mayor to sign the pilot agreement renewal with Saratoga BDC Limited Partnerships regarding 9 Kirby Road as previously distributed with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Thank you. Item number 6 is a discussion and vote, updated 2019 city fees for Board of Plumbing Examiners fees. The updated fee schedule includes the new Board of Plumbing Examiner fees from the Mayor's office on page 11. A copy of the current fee schedule approved by City Council on February 5th is also included with the agenda for reference. I request your approval of the updated 2019 city fee schedule as previously distributed with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Thank you. Item number 7 is an announcement. Economic Development Lunch and Learn Series update. To date, the city, in partnership with Nice Tech, has hosted 2 Lunch and Learn events in our expected series of 4. The first 2 events were the AI Opportunity, Developing an AI Ecosystem in Upstate New York, which took place in January. And then we had Beyond Cryptocurrency, How Blockchain Technology Can Drive Economic Development in Upstate New York in February. Both events were well attended despite poor weather and allowed local businesses, industry experts, and elected officials an opportunity to hear about cutting-edge technology and local success stories. The goal of this series is to create a collaborative environment and to spur future innovation, investment, and growth. To that end, the next 2 topics are on innovation centers, or what I've previously been calling maker spaces, and how we may maybe take a maker space and build that into some economic development, maybe an accelerator type space, and connected street lighting, both of which I think are particularly relevant to Saratoga Springs. They're tentatively scheduled for April 25th and June 13th for these events, but I continue to work with Nice Tech to finalize these dates, speakers, and agendas. Feeling pretty good about the connected street lighting, still working on nailing nailing down some details on the innovation one. So I don't expect that the April 25th event will take place, but I'm working on making the June 13th event, the one about the innovation centers and maker spaces, and potentially coming up with a new date for the connected street lighting, as that one ties into the grant and project that we're working on with CDTC for our guidebook for connected street lighting, and we believe that even that one is going to take more time for the consultant to come on board, do the work they need to do, and then present this at one of these lunch and learns. So I will continue to keep the City Council and the public updated. Item number 8 is a discussion, local impact of the New York State budget. The 2019-2020 state budget was adopted early Monday morning, and the full impact on cities and villages is still being determined. That said, I did want to update the City Council and residents about what we've seen and what's changed since my last state budget update in February. One of the most controversial items in the governor's 2019-2020 executive budget was the elimination of aid and incentives for municipalities, AIM funding, for some villages in the state. That funding has been restored. As this was for villages only, there was no expected impact directly on Saratoga Springs, though an early analysis showed this change may have negatively impacted several villages within Saratoga County. The restored funding will be made through a reallocation of revenue that is expected to be generated by internet sales tax proposal, also within the governor's budget. Sales tax is already collected on some internet transactions, and the city receives that sales tax, like when you buy directly from Amazon or even a Home Depot. If you have that shipped to your home, the city receives that sales tax. Now, we don't receive it if you go to the Home Depot and buy a grill, because that is not in the city, but if you have it shipped to your home, we do receive that sales tax. But marketplace transactions through sites like eBay or Etsy, those are not collected. Some of this new revenue will go toward funding the MTA capital plan, which serves New York City and neighboring areas such as Long Island, Westchester County, and Dutchess County. Overall, local sales tax revenue is expected to increase, though, as a result of this change, but details on how this tax will be collected and remitted are still being reviewed. As expected, the tax cap was made permanent, though a provision to recognize increases in the tax base due to pilot payments was ultimately not adopted. Transportation aid, including the restoration of extreme winter recovery funding and an increase in CHIPS, were both originally part of the budget discussions, but both have been delayed due to a decision to enact a supplemental capital projects bill later this month. So that could impact us a bit. Regarding water and sewer infrastructure, an additional $500 million will be made available for drinking water and wastewater infrastructure, as well as water quality protection. This money will be in addition to what is already available under the 5-year, $2.5 billion Clean Water Infrastructure Act that was created in 2017-2018. Given the material infrastructure projects facing the city, such as the dam, my hope is that we will aggressively pursue any state funding that might be available. One inclusion in the budget that doesn't impact Saratoga Springs, but has been in the headlines, is this mansion tax, and I was actually asked about this today by the press. This tax, which reaches a top rate of 4.15% on residential properties on 25 million or more, is specifically for New York City high-end property and will be used for MTA projects. This will not impact the city. I bring this up because I had the press ask me today if that would be impacting us. Two items that had been included in early budgetary discussions that are expected to be addressed outside the state budget include the legalization of recreational marijuana and any expansion of prevailing wage. So those are not included in the budget that was passed. As always, I'll continue to keep the City Council and the public updated on the state budget and its local impact as we learn more. I will say that VLT funding is included in the budget, and that is always a big revenue a big revenue generator for the city. So that's in there, and we don't have to worry about that, fortunately, like we have had to worry about that in past years. I have to add an item to my agenda. So, item number 9 is a discussion and vote, add a budget transfer payroll to the agenda. I request your approval to add an additional item to my agenda, budget transfer payroll. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? The matter passes.
Thank you. So my item number 10 will be a discussion and vote budget transfers payroll. Lines 1 through 2 are to transfer $2,929. No. $2,921. From PR and Communications Manager to a new line for assistance with knowledge transfer in the Finance Department for a person to start part-time temporary position. This transfer is to address a potential vacancy and training opportunity for a new hire. I request your approval of the budget transfers payroll. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Thank you. That completes my agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner. On to Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item on my agenda is discussion and vote, authorization for the mayor to sign an agreement with Mahoney Alarm Notify Plus Incorporated for the 24 sanitary high-level alarm transmitters. This is an annual agreement effective April 1st, 2019 with Mahoney Notifier Plus in the amount of $12,780 paid in monthly installments of $1,065. Mahoney provides high-level alarm radio transmitters for the lease, maintenance, monitoring, and annual inspections of the city's 24 sanitary pump stations. The alarms in the pump station locations provide security for failure or backup to the sewer system. Therefore, I move to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Mahoney Notifier Plus Incorporated for the 24 sanitary high-level alarm radio transmitters in the amount of $12,780, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Second item on my agenda is discussion and vote, authorization for the mayor to sign an agreement with Clean Air Environmental Services Incorporated for the DPW Flower Shop asbestos abatement. This agreement is with Clean Air Environmental Services, Inc. for the asbestos abatement of the flower shop at the DPW garage site on 29 Van Rensselaer Street in the amount of $10,450. The scope of work includes removal and disposal of the metal roof. This asbestos abatement of the roof is the first step in the demolition process of the flower shop. Once the asbestos is removed, DPW crew will be completing the tear down of the building and prepping the site for a new prefab metal dispatch building. This new site will also house our sign shop, flower crew operations and training room, and some additional storage. Therefore, I move to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Clean Air Environmental Services Incorporated for the asbestos abatement of the flower shop in the amount of $10,450, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I can tell you that building's in real bad shape, it's ready to fall down, so we're not gonna take much to knock it down.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The matter passes.
Third item on my agenda is discussion and vote, authorization for to pay an invoice to Stantec for Nelson Avenue Drainage Project, Phase 5. The invoice payable to Stantec is for services provided without a purchase order for construction support on the Nelson Avenue Drainage Project from November 17, 2018 through December 31st, 2018, the amount of $14,955.01. The scope of work included observation of storm conveyance system installation and concrete curbing along Nelson Avenue, Gridley, and Bowman Street. Also included was the coordination with the contractor for trench restoration and winter shutdown prior to asphalt plant shutdown. The remaining storm piping and sidewalk construction to commence in spring of 2019. Therefore, I move for authorization to pay the invoice to Stantec in the amount of $14,955.01 for the construction support services on the Nelson Avenue Drainage Project, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Fourth item on my agenda is just an announcement, the 2017-2018 MS4 Annual Report. The draft 2018 Annual Report on the city's municipal separate storm sewer system, which is the MS4, will be available on the city website for a 30-day public review and comment period starting April 1st, 2019. The MS4 program is administered statewide by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, who required annual updated on specific requirements, required annual updated on specific requirements designed to prevent stormwater pollution and protect those ecosystems which receive rain and snow melt discharge from the city's storm sewer system. The draft report is accessible on the City of Saratoga Springs website, and a hard copy will be available for review in the city engineer's office during regular business hours. Again, anyone wishing to comment on the draft report should contact the MS4 Program Coordinator in the City Engineer's Office by telephone at 518-587-7098, extension 2573, or using email address to l.flick@saratoga-springs.org. Written comments are encouraged, and again, that's Al Flick. So that's that. And I'd like to add an item to my agenda, just an announcement for the hydro flushing.
Okay, sir.
So we go? Ready to go?
Go ahead.
Good? Okay.
I got you.
This is just a notice for, to the residents in the city of Saratoga Springs. All flushing of hydrants will be performed between the hours of 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. Residents may notice discoloration due to turbid water. This is normal and not harmful. However, we would caution residents to check their water before using automatic washers. If your water is discolored, flush a cold water tap until the water runs clear. If discoloration persists, please notify the Saratoga Springs Utility Department at 518-587-3550, extension 2555, or extension 2910. And again, we're going to start on Monday, April 8th, and we're going to flush through Friday, May 3rd. That's again Monday, April 8th to Friday, May 3rd, and it's going to be in the east side area, Lake Avenue, out toward the lake. So, and there is going to be a notice in the newspaper too, but again, it was late notice today, so I decided I would just say something at the city council meeting tonight. So,
Great.
and no questions or concerns. That includes my agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner. On to public safety.
Thank you. The first item on my agenda is a discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign a contract with Henry Schein, Inc. This is a professional services contract for emergency medical supplies. The resulting purchase order will be capped at $10,000. Therefore, I move that the City Council authorize the mayor to sign a professional services contract with Henry Schein, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $10,000. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
The second item on my agenda is a discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign a contract with Bound Tree Medical. This is also a professional services contract for emergency medical supplies. The resulting purchase order will be capped at $10,000. Therefore, I move that the City Council authorize the mayor to sign a professional services contract with Bound Tree Medical in an amount not to exceed $10,000. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
The third item is a discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign a contract with Moore Medical Corporation. This is a professional services contract for medical emergency supplies. The resulting purchase order will also be capped at $10,000. Therefore, I move that the City Council authorize the mayor to sign a professional services contract with Moore Medical Corporation in an amount not to exceed $10,000. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
The next item on my agenda is a discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign a contract with Saratoga County Stop DWI. This is the city's annual contract with the Saratoga County Stop DWI for a grant to our police department. They are giving our city $8,000. I move that the City Council authorize the mayor to sign a revenue contract with the Saratoga County Stop DWI in the amount of $8,000. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
The next item on my agenda is a discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign a contract with Del Signore Paving. This is a contract with Del Signore Paving for the installation of pedestrian improvements at the intersection of Union Avenue and Regent Street. The contract is in the amount of $168,000. I move that the city authorize the mayor to sign a contract with Del Signore Blacktop Paving, Inc. in the amount of $168,000. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The matter passes.
The next item is an announcement. Institution of alternate side parking on Persimmon Place pursuant to Chapter 225-2 of the City Code, Vehicle and Traffic. Under my authority to institute parking regulations, I will be instituting alternate side parking on Persimmon Place effective at 8 a.m. on Tuesday, April 9th. We received a number of parking complaints from the neighbors, and the neighbors have expressed a desire for alternate side parking. The next item on my agenda is a discussion and vote to amend Chapter 225 of the City Code, Vehicle and Traffic, with respect to time limit parking in the city-owned lots and garages. This is the subject of the public hearing that we had earlier today. I move that the City Council amend Chapter 225 of the City Code, Vehicle and Traffic, to reflect those changes as distributed with the agenda. This is the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I want to thank you for doing this. I think it's going to be really good for the city.
I hope it
Yeah,
does.
I want to say the same thing. It's
Yeah.
going to be a lot easier for us to plow it, because the cars are parking 2 days instead of, the 24 hours is a little bit of an issue, but at least we'll be able to get into the parking lots and, in the
48
winter.
hours was worse.
Yeah, that's 2 days, I'm saying. And at least we'll be able to get into the parking lots and plow them out and clean them out. Do you have any idea when you're going to post it?
We're going to start, we have some of the signs now, we have to have some of the signs made.
Okay.
So we'll do them pretty much as we have the signs available.
Okay, good.
Great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The matter passes.
The next item is an announcement. The fourth Citizen Advisory Board meeting of the Saratoga Springs Citizen Advisory Board will be held at 7 p.m. on April 18th, 2019. This event will take place at the Saratoga Arts Center. All are welcome to attend. The next item on my agenda is a discussion and vote, authorization to pay an invoice from Elliott Enterprises, Inc. for fire apparatus inspection and repairs. This is the payment of an invoice for inspection services and repairs to a piece of fire apparatus. The purchase order is in the amount of $3,280.54. I move that the City Council authorize the payment of an invoice to Elliott Enterprises, Inc. in the amount of $3,280.54. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The matter passes.
The next item is a discussion and vote, authorization for the mayor to sign a contract with Multi-Med Billing Services, Inc. This is a renewal of the professional services contract for the Department of Public Safety's third-party medical billing service. Multi-Med will receive 7% of all non-Medicaid claims. It will receive $7 per claim where Medicaid is the primary payer, and $5 on all claims where Medicaid is the secondary payer. I move that the City Council authorize the mayor to sign a professional services contract with Multi-Med Billing Services, Inc. pursuant to the terms distributed with this agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The matter passes.
I would like to add one announcement about a promotion to my agenda.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm very pleased to announce the appointment of Sergeant Laura Emanation as a lieutenant in the Saratoga Springs Police Department. Laura's been a member of the department for 17 years. She joined the department as a patrol officer in 2005. In 2009, she was promoted to the position of police investigator and was again promoted to administrative sergeant in 2015. In the role of sergeant, Sergeant Emanation has played an integral part in the department's operations. She oversaw dispatch for the Department of Public Safety, among other duties. Recently, she oversaw the upgrade of the public safety dispatch area and played a critical role in the implementation of our Tri-Tech inter-county dispatch framework. She has mentored and trained many officers upon joining the department. Sergeant Emanation holds a bachelor's degree in political science and criminal justice from SUNY Brockport, a master's in criminal justice from Boston University, and a master's in public administration from Marist College. We congratulate Sergeant Emanation on her well-earned promotion to lieutenant and look forward to the many great things that she will do in this new role.
Great. Does that conclude your agenda?
And that does conclude my agenda.
Great. On to the supervisors. Supervisor Beach, do you have anything tonight? Okay. Supervisor Gaston.
So Commissioner Frank, I think everyone's actually here for me to celebrate National County Government Month.
I will concede that.
Yeah, okay. I didn't bring balloons, sorry. So I wanted to give an update, like Commissioner Madigan, regarding the New York State budget that passed specific to the county. One thing that was interested is in March 2020, New York State will ban single-use plastic bags in most areas. It will exempt such things as takeout food, newspapers, and trash bags that you buy in bulk. One opportunity the county has is to implement a 5 cents per paper bag tax to help further reduce the use of single-use bags. I have not heard any indication that the county intends to do that, but that is an opportunity for us. Additionally, with respect to the criminal justice system, cash bail has been eliminated for most misdemeanors and nonviolent offenses. That has caused some concern for our district attorney and the sheriff's office, but we're going to be working to make sure that that's properly implemented. Hopefully it will reduce the number of inmates that we keep on the regular. Also, for early voting, $10 million was provided for the implementation of early voting for the county, and almost $15 million for e-poll books and ballot on demand. The problem with that is those numbers are for the state as a whole, and that is not going to cover the cost. In Saratoga County alone, we estimate that the cost will be approximately $750,000 for e-poll books and implementation of early voting. And that's assuming the state gets us the standards so that we can actually make the contracts to purchase this equipment. So we're still going to be working on that, and that may also impact the county's budget for the next year. And the last is, as Commissioner Madigan said, the tax cap was made permanent. Unfortunately, it does not appear that they took our county's recommendations to implement an adjustment that accounts for the growth in the county. The current formula only accounts for approximately 1% growth each year. Saratoga County is growing currently at a rate of 4 to 5% per year. That means each year we're actually having to decrease the amount of tax that we're bringing in, the tax rate. And this year we lost about $4 million in our budget due to wanting to maintain the budget underneath the tax cap. We will continue to push for that, and hopefully an amendment can be made in the future to the growth formula to allow Saratoga County to bring in the money that we're using to provide the services to the county. That concludes my agenda.
Thank you, Supervisor. Any other business by the council? Then we are adjourned. Thank you.
Public affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcome. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.